On tonight's Wales at 6. Spades in the ground as the move to cleaner steel production finally gets underway. But will construction of an electric arc furnace repair what Port Talbot's lost?
It's a good thing, really, to obviously get the jobs back there.
It's a great opportunity for the future, you know, cleaner production of steel. But, you know, the damage that's happened.
Too many lost their jobs. Too many. You won't get Port Talbot back, will you? It's gone.
Also on tonight's programme, a former MP seen here in a black jacket is sentenced for harassing her ex-wife. Plus, as Wales exit the Euros, fans reflect on the history made and the memories to cherish.
It's just been amazing.
Yeah,
it
I
has
think
been
we've
amazing.
had the biggest support here.
Yeah, we've had the biggest, the best, the loudest, the most colourful, the most fun. Everywhere you go, you see Wales. It's just beautiful to see.
And from one sporting event to another. The Islands sports tournament dubbed the Friendly Games gets underway and we meet the Anglesey athletes going for gold. Hello, good evening to you. A new era, that's how bosses at Tata have described today's ceremonial commencement of works on a new electric arc furnace. According to the company, the £1.25 billion project at Port Talbot is designed to be a greener and cheaper alternative to the coal-fired blast furnaces that were shut last year. Well, there for us this evening is our political editor, Adrian Masters. Adrian, good evening to you. So how important a day for this is it for Welsh manufacturing then?
Andrea, a very significant day, and you know what? Most people that were here and that are commenting from afar agree that it was a good day. Where the political disagreement is over whether it could have been better or whether the UK government could have done more to help Tata and to help keep jobs here in Port Talbot. That'll be a discussion for the future, but today here was a groundbreaking ceremony, and right behind me actually you can see where the new electric arc furnace will be. That's because this was the spot where all the attention was, and so was my colleague Gwennan Campbell.
Digging deep. The first spade is in the ground for the new electric arc furnace. Well, maybe not the ground, but it's certainly a symbolic moment.
Well, it's a really important moment for the future. Now, look, it's still got to say, people have been through a lot here. Any programme of change is not easy. But look, my aspiration for Port Talbot is that it's at the centre of a completely rebuilt UK steel industry, and that this becomes, as it should be, one of the most important industrial sites in Europe and the world. And I do think today is a step towards that.
This will be the UK's largest low-carbon steel-making facility, reducing Port Talbot's carbon emissions by 90%.
Having the opportunity to work on the project is like a dream come true. So the green project is bringing in new technology, reducing our carbon footprint as a business, and making it a cleaner, brighter environment for us all to work and live in. And it's excellent to be part of the new steel-making era in South Wales.
The great and the good are enjoying the ceremony, but there's still a lot of work going on site too.
Today is a significant day for Port Talbot. Last September, traditional steel making in Wales came to an end, with 2,800 people losing their jobs here at Tata Steel. But today is the start of a new, greener chapter, bringing hope and jobs to a town that's seen some pretty dark days over the last few years. But is it too little, too late?
They shouldn't have shut it to start with. End of. That's all I can say about it. Should have kept all them jobs.
It's better for the environment, and it's just something new, and let's see if it creates any more opportunities for the area.
Let's hope that people will get a lot more jobs coming here, a lot into Wales, because we got nothing. Pits are closed, steelworks are closed, nothing in Wales at all, no?
It's a historic milestone for the steel industry, but one many thought would never come. Gwennan Campbell, ITV News, Port Talbot.
Well, that's what was happening here earlier on this very windy spot, deep in the heart of Tata's site here at Port Talbot. And I'm joined here by the Chief Executive, Rajesh Nair. You say that this is a significant day, that it secures jobs for the future. Are you here for the long term? People want to know, is Tata going to be part of Port Talbot for the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Absolutely. That's what we've always been saying, and that's what we continue to say. And today marks an important day in a sense, making that commitment visible to people and making it come true.
And as part of the announcement, you said that it would safeguard 5,000 jobs.
Absolutely.
Are they all here in Port Talbot?
No, that's across the Tata Steel UK organisation as such. Port Talbot is one part of Tata Steel UK, which has got sites across different places in the UK.
Do you have a figure of how many there would be here?
Whatever we have today here, about 2,000 odd people, we will continue to be around.
And at the same time, we can't, I know you want to focus on the future, but we can't ignore the fact that jobs are being lost. What are your thoughts with those people that have losing their jobs and are struggling to come to terms with that?
Yes, it's been very difficult, not just for the people who have been affected by the transition and the transformation. It's been also difficult for us as people who've been running the business, and as a group, we are quite conscious of our responsibilities to the community, to the people. And as much as possible, we wanted to try and keep the business going, but we were getting to a place where the business viability simply wasn't there. The assets were running out. We had to do something that would secure the future.
And that's really important. I know you and I have spoken about this before,
Sure.
and because some of the UK government's critics say that if they'd given you more money, if they'd come to you with a different deal, you might have been able to keep the blast furnaces open.
That's not really the point. It is about the options we had on the table in terms of finding the right solution. The money is just one piece of it in terms of how you would fund it. It was more important for us to have discussed with the government our approach to this transformation, and we have done a huge amount of analysis to find the right technical, operational and customer-facing solution that would help us.
And are you optimistic for the future here?
Absolutely optimistic. I think more than optimistic, I see it as hopefully a catalyst, of something bigger to come in the future. It's about, in a way, resurrecting manufacturing in the country, and hopefully this is one step in the right direction.
Thank you very much for joining me here,
Pleasure
Rajesh
to be here.
Nair,
Thank
the Chief Executive of Tata. And the work is beginning, will be beginning, and over the next 2 years, transforming the site behind us into the new electric arc furnace, and beginning a new chapter for Tata here in Port Talbot.
Adrian Masters, thank you. A former Conservative MP has been given a 12-month community order for harassing her ex-wife. Katie Wallace represented Bridgend during the last Parliament and was given a restraining order to prevent contact with Rebecca Lovell. Our correspondent Richard Morgan has been following the case and is outside Cardiff Magistrates Court for us this evening. Richard, what else was said today?
Well, Andrea, the court heard that Katie Wallace, who was formerly known as Jamie and who is going through a gender reassignment process, sent the messages between February and March this year. Some of them were abusive and the judge said likely to cause alarm or distress. In one message, Katie Wallace called her ex-wife filthy, foul and prejudiced. In another, she asked for over £300,000. Well, as Katie Wallace was leaving court earlier in the company of one of her legal team, I asked her for her reaction to what had been heard in court. Have you anything to say to your ex-wife, Katie? Now, we did hear a victim impact statement from Rebecca Lovell, Katie Wallace's ex-wife. In it, she said that her life had been destroyed and that she would never understand what I have done to deserve the hurt I have endured. Well, Richard,
what did the defence have to say?
Well, representing Wallace, the barrister Narita Bara KC said her client was experiencing a profound emotional and mental crisis when she sent those messages. The barrister said that Miss Wallace was one of the first high-profile public figures to go through a gender reassignment process. This had caused symptoms including anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. The judge, Rhys Williams, imposed a community order including 12 days of rehabilitation. He also ordered that Katie Wallace should pay £1,200 in fines and costs and ordered a restraining order banning her from contacting her ex-wife for 12 months.
Richard at Cardiff Magistrates Court for us following that case. Thank you. A former Dyfed-Powys police staff member says she resigned from the force due to a culture of misogyny, sexism and systemic failure. Caris Phillips from Cardigan was one of 9 victims in the case of Superintendent Gary Davis, who was dismissed in April for gross misconduct and misogyny. She says she's speaking out to ensure women are treated with fairness and respect. Ness Jenkins reports.
They're meant to protect us, but for Caris Phillips, working for the police left her broken.
Every day just seemed like a battle to just do my job.
She began working for Dyfed-Powys Police in 2014 in their headquarters near Carmarthen. 5 years later, new managers were brought into her department. That's when Caris started to notice that the women within the team were being treated differently.
Women were referred to as the girls, and we were just to do the admin. It was a lot of not being invited to meetings. Some women were told, well, you can go to the meeting, but don't speak. Any time I would challenge anything, I was sort of portrayed as being problematic and difficult woman.
One of those managers was Superintendent Gary Davis. One meeting with him has scarred Caris.
He was staring at my chest for a prolonged amount of time. It just made me feel so uncomfortable. Like I'm not there in a professional capacity, I'm there as an object.
Over a period of 2 years, Caris says the behaviour of Gary Davis and others in the team got worse, which took its toll on her mental health.
It got to a point where I thought I just have to leave for my own sanity. I can't work here anymore. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to put a complaint in.
That complaint in May 2022 led to an investigation, and Gary Davis was suspended 2 months later. In April this year, Caris was one of 9 victims who gave evidence against him in the misconduct hearing. Gary Davis was dismissed for gross misconduct for his inappropriate and misogynistic behaviour. He was found to have touched 2 female members of staff without permission. He had compared women to sports cars and had created a boys' club culture in the workplace. But it took nearly 3 years for that investigation to be completed, where Gary Davis was paid in full. I asked the Force's Chief Constable, Ivan Charles, about that wait.
It's far too long. Let me be clear about that. It's something that we're working very hard on.
Why did it take that long?
And we recognise that one day is one day too many when it comes to victims waiting for justice because his behaviour was totally unacceptable.
But Caris now questions the wider culture within the organisation.
He was just one person who acted that way, and I know of others who enabled his behaviour, turned the other way. I certainly don't have confidence in them being able to tackle inappropriate behaviour towards women.
Caris says just because Gary is gone, it doesn't mean that all the misogyny has been eradicated from the force.
I would encourage anybody that if they see that behaviour, that they should be reporting it to their senior leaders, to the Professional Standards Department, so that we can make an assessment of any allegations and then undertake a really thorough investigation.
Caris Phillips has left the force, but by speaking out, she hopes that other women won't have to. Ness Jenkins, ITV News.
And you can watch more on that story on tonight's episode of Abida Bedwa. That's on S4C at 8 p.m. Still to come on the programme tonight. Now, you may not have heard of it, but we're at one of the UK's little-known international sporting events. The Island Games gets underway with Welsh athletes going for gold. And Ruth is with us as well, out and about. How's the weather looking, Ruth?
Well, Andrea, we heard Adrian talking earlier about the strong winds. We're sort of battling with it here in Cardiff Castle as well. It felt very different when we woke this morning. Parts of Wales have had some heavy rain and there's more of that to come. I'll have your forecast in a few minutes.
Well, football and Wales manager Rhian Wilkinson says there needs to be equal opportunities for young female players after her team's exit from the Euros. They were thumped 6-1 by England, with Hannah Kane's late consolation goal salvaging some pride. Our sports reporter Matt Southcomb's in St Gallen for us this evening. Matt, a tough tournament for the players, but no doubt, we know, an historic one as well.
Yes, absolutely, Andrea. Things might not have gone to plan on the pitch, but the support off it has been nothing short of remarkable. Thousands of fans have travelled over to support the team, and they've stunned the locals and some opposition players with their singing and their chanting. Now, some fans have been following the women's team longer than others, and our reporter Katie Fenton tells the story of the Red Wall.
Wild Goch. Loud, proud and here in their thousands. Wales may not have won a game in this tournament, but in the stands and streets of Switzerland, their fans have triumphed. But it wasn't all that long ago that the Red Wall was just one brick. Penny remembers being the only Wales fan at an away game against Belarus in 2019.
I got a standing ovation from the players, which was just phenomenal, and they all, gave me a round of applause, which was kind of so special. But
For being there?
Yeah, for being there, because they knew I was dressed in red and I was the only person in the stand. So to see this, and just for the team to have the support that I feel they've deserved for so long, for me that is kind of so special.
Wales has been one of the best supported teams in this tournament, with estimates of around 10,000 fans across all three games. That's a lot of bucket hats.
And those wearing them have made the journey in a variety of ways.
Hi, Wales!
Nicola and Rebecca left Swansea 2 weeks ago in their camper van.
We've driven nearly 1,300 miles. Bonkers, I know.
It's been an adventure. There's been highs and lows.
Yeah.
But
lots
it's great.
Lots of lakes, swimming in lots of lakes and rivers.
And what countries have we been to?
France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, back to France, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, back to Switzerland.
Yes.
It's just been amazing.
Yeah, I think we've had the biggest support here.
Yeah, we've had the biggest, the best, the loudest, the most colourful, the most fun. It's been massive for Wales as a country, as a nation, for football, women's football.
For many, this was not just a tournament, but a turning point. It's hope now that the passion of the Red Wall will continue to grow, as will the women's game in Wales. Katie Fenton, ITV News.
So, Matt, we can see there phenomenal support for Wales off the pitch, but of course there's going to be a few lessons learned on it.
Yes, Andrea, unfortunately the reality is that Wales have struggled to compete on the field. The Dutch goalkeeper in the first game didn't have a save to make. Wales have conceded 13 goals in this group stage, which unfortunately is an unwanted piece of history. There's no question in the effort of the players, but at times they haven't quite looked prepared for the occasions that they're stepping into. Here are the thoughts of former Wales international Nia Jones.
Next time round at a major tournament, they'll pick and choose how much to soak up the atmosphere and how much to rest to stay focused. Probably the team behind the team will focus on their analysis. How do they manage emotions in the camp? How do they manage the itinerary to make sure that they're getting the most out of the players? Results haven't been what any of us would have liked, but actually the journey to this tournament has been incredible.
Well, Nia there talks about the team behind the team. What has the camp had to say on the exit?
Well, after the game, manager Rhian Wilkinson was typically candid. She said the team were outplayed and she personally was outcoached. Now, of course, there will be talk of legacy after this tournament, but Wilkinson was keen to stress that we have to address the reality of the results.
It's not time for the bigger picture yet, and we know that. It would be disrespectful to our fans, I think, to say, yeah, we were, outplayed, but think of the, so I'm trying to find the balance because I really wouldn't want to coach any other team. I love these women. I think they're an incredible group, and they are groundbreaking in what they're doing.
Well, now the onus is on the FAW to secure funding and to reinvest in the future, and that reinvestment will make sure that this is not the end of something, but is the start of something.
Starting to look ahead. Matt, thanks very much indeed. Well, to rugby, and the WRU says it's consulting on the possibility of reducing the numbers of professional regions to 3 or even 2. The union says any change would come in for the 2027-28 season, but it says the current model is not financially sustainable. Now, it's the international sporting event you might not have heard of, but all this week, Ynys Môn are representing Wales at the Island Games, being hosted in Orkney, up at the north tip of Scotland. Our reporter Hamish Auskerry is there and has more.
An international multi-sport tournament, the largest being hosted anywhere in the UK this year, and Ynys Môn are flying the flag for Wales. Anglesey have competed at every one of the Island Games since 1985, and this year Orkney is hosting for the first time.
Oh, so far it's been amazing. Just getting started. Lovely day, celebrating the islands, coming together, playing all sports. Can't wait.
What are your hopes this week?
Gold and everything, especially football.
I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Just making it to Orkney is an achievement in itself. 94 athletes from Ynys Môn spent 22 hours on a coach ride to the tip of Scotland, then caught a ferry before arriving in Kirkwall on the largest island.
Up here on Wideford Hill, you can see the expanse of this beautiful county, made up of more than 70 islands. I grew up on a tiny one very far out there to the east side of Orkney, visible today on this stunning summer morning. But the Island Games is taking place on this, the biggest island, known by locals as the mainland.
The skyline of Kirkwall is dominated by St Magnus Cathedral, the oldest in Scotland.
Cathedral was founded in 1137, so it's getting on for about 900 years old.
Welsh athletes Cian and Cameron may be a long way from home, but thanks to a Viking battle in the Menai Strait, Orkney has more connection to Ynys Môn than you'd ever imagine.
They were getting ready to really kind of, leap ashore and have some serious trouble, and Magnus refused to fight. He said, no, I won't be any part of this. And Magnus went to the front of the boat and he stood there and he sang psalms. And all around him, the battle was raging. There's arrows whizzing over his head and swords clashing and just a huge big fight going on around him. And he was untouched. Not a single arrow, not a single sword blow, nothing touched him.
A 900-year historical connection between our islands, built upon by these international games.
From Ynys Môn, the Isle of Anglesey, we would like to wish all the participants in the Games the very, very best of luck.
That's very nice. Yeah, it's really mental to think that there's such a close connection to the island that we're from and the island that we are now. I'd never heard of it, and it's really cool and interesting, and I'm surprised that it's not more well known back at home.
Before they headed to the practice track,
you can consider this part of your training.
A chance to walk up these ancient steps to the top of the cathedral spire.
Should we give it a go?
Yeah. I enjoy learning about our history, and so it was really cool taking the time to step away from the games a little bit and just learn about our history as a nation.
Come on out.
They now know the history between our islands, but Cian and Cameron want to make more. Island Games are special occasions, and there's a proud team here hoping to bring home medals on the international stage. Back to Wales. Hamish Auskerry, ITV News, Orkney.
Well, the sun shining there. Weather time here now. Ruth's at Cardiff Castle this evening. It was a scorch of a weekend, but it's turned a little bit today. A bit different now, Ruth.
Yeah, very much so, Andrea. Yes, welcome to the grounds of Cardiff Castle. Venues like this have been popular over the last few weeks. Summer concerts, the hottest ticket in town, and they've been grateful for the long, hot spell. But things, as you mentioned, have changed. If you've got a concert to go to this week, might be worth swapping your beanie hat for a bucket hat. Keep an eye on the forecast, but let's take a look at the changeable conditions.
Today's forecast, blue skies, followed by a spread of hot and cold plates. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
So you can see high pressure that's kept things settled is effectively nudged eastwards by low pressure. It's the weather we all frankly are used to. Whether we love it or not is another matter. But Wednesday this week is shaping up to be the better day. A brief ridge of high pressure before turns changeable again by the end of the week. But temperatures, although fresher today, by the end of the week will feel warmer all over again. So coming back then to this evening, the sun is shining here in Cardiff at the moment. But as we head into the overnight stretch, there will be showers arriving, and some of these could well be on the sharp side, accompanied, as you can probably tell, by a strengthening breeze. On the plus side though, temperatures tonight at around 14 or 15 are going to feel far more comfortable than they did last night. It was hot, sweaty and thoroughly uncomfortable, wasn't it? But something slightly more comfortable, if very unsettled, overnight tonight. So by the time we wake to tomorrow morning, not a bad start to the day for some, but quite quickly it will go downhill. And as you can see, there are blues and greens, very heavy rain, possibly some thundery downpours that will work their way southwards and eastwards during the course of the day. Again, accompanied by quite a strong breeze, 20-30 miles an hour. Not surprisingly then, temperatures struggling to get much above 18, maybe squeezing a 19 across parts of Wrexham if you do see any drier spells. So those heavy showers will work their way through Tuesday night, and by the time we wake to Wednesday, I keep flagging this up as possibly the better day of the week. Something a little bit drier. You can see there is cloud and rain working into the southwest of England, but here in Wales we should escape that. So a decent day for making any outdoorsy plans. Concert goers on Wednesday, you're in for a treat, but the outlook afterwards remains increasingly unsettled. Mixed fortunes is the best way of putting it.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Well, grass pollen is still getting right up our noses at the moment, but if you are suffering with hay fever at the moment, the next few days aren't looking too bad, with generally low levels as that weather is largely unsettled. So apparently UB40 are taking to this rather quiet and empty stage behind me this coming weekend, and in a couple of weeks of Tom Jones himself. So as I said, check the forecast before you head out. Might be bucket hats and beanie hats and waterproofs at the ready.
Let's hope there are some dry spells. Ruth, thank you very much indeed. And that's it. I'll be back with the late news. That's after the news at 10 from us. Bye-bye.